It's September 2024, and the Kinahan Cartel are operating out of multiple locations across Ireland. Inside these houses, warehouses and high-end properties, encrypted phones buzz with orders, cash is counted in bundles, and coke is weighed and packaged for distribution. But this isn't business as usual. What the Kinahans don't know is that police are watching and they're about to strike. For months, Operation Kraken has been in motion. Irish authorities, working with Europol, the FBI, and the Australian Federal Police, have cracked the Ghost encrypted communication platform, a lifeline the cartel thought was unbreakable. Ghost was the Kinahans' backbone, used to coordinate drug shipments, manage money laundering operations, and enforce their power. But now, every message, every photo, and every transaction is in the hands of law enforcement. In the early hours of a crisp October morning, over 300 officers descend on these 27 locations in a coordinated series of raids. Armed units burst through doors, cybercrime experts confiscate devices, and criminal asset specialists seize cash and luxury goods. By the end of the operation, the scale of the seizures is staggering. Inside one property, authorities uncovered €15 million worth of cocaine, neatly packaged and ready for distribution. 11 arrests are made during the raids, but the true damage lies in the data seized. Authorities confiscate 42 ghost-encrypted devices, over 100 mobile phones, laptops, and SIM cards. The treasure trove of evidence doesn't just map the cartel's operations, it confirms what many suspected. The Kinahan Cartel's grip on Ireland is slipping, and its network is in chaos. Detective Chief Superintendent Seamus Boland calls it a game changer. He then continued to say that the Kinahan crime gang was no longer the primary organized crime gang in Ireland. In the days that follow, as Gardaí sift through the seized evidence, one thing becomes clear: the Kinahan empire has collapsed. The Kinahan Cartel didn't begin as a billion-euro empire. It started in the grimy streets of Dublin, where petty crime was a way of life for Christy Kinahan. Known as the Dapper Don, Christy's early convictions for burglary, car theft, and forgery were far removed from the global drug lord he would become. But even then, there was a hint of his future ambitions. By the 1990s, as Ireland's economy boomed during the Celtic Tiger era, Christy saw a bigger picture. Christy's real breakthrough came with drugs. Ireland was hungry for cocaine and heroin, and Christy moved to supply the market. Starting as a street-level operation in Dublin, his network soon expanded. As he sold drugs, he established supply chains and eventually opened relationships with international cartels. What set Christy apart was his vision. Unlike other criminals content to dominate their local scene, he understood that true power required thinking globally. By the early 2000s, the Kinahans had expanded their operations to the UK and Spain, where they built drug trafficking routes that connected South American suppliers with European buyers. Christy became a logistics mastermind, coordinating shipments and laundering money through legitimate businesses. As the Kinahans grew, they adapted. Christy's son, Daniel Kinahan, stepped in to handle the day-to-day operations. He developed relationships with other criminal organizations across Europe, strengthening the cartel's position in the drug trade. By the mid-2000s, the cartel was one of Europe's most powerful criminal organizations. They weren't just moving drugs, they were moving money, laundering millions through Dubai-based businesses that appeared legitimate. Reports suggested their wealth had grown to as much as €1 billion, fueled by their dominance in cocaine and heroin trafficking. For decades, the Kinahan Cartel seemed invincible, but their downfall was a slow, methodical dismantling that unfolded over years. Piece by piece, the empire they built on drugs, violence, and global connections began to unravel, with each blow chipping away at their dominance. The first major crack in the Kinahan empire came in 2010 with Operation Shovel, a Spanish-led effort targeting the cartel's operations in Europe. Christy Kinahan, the cartel's founder, narrowly avoided prosecution, but the operation disrupted their supply routes and forced them to adapt. Spain had been a critical hub for the cartel, and its loss pushed them to establish a new base in Dubai. The city's lenient financial regulations made it the perfect location for the Kinahans to continue their operations while staying out of reach of European authorities. For years, this strategy worked. The Kinahans maintained their dominance, trafficking cocaine and heroin across Europe and using legitimate businesses to launder millions. However, the cartel's escalating feud with the Hutch gang in 2015 began drawing dangerous levels of attention. The Kinahan-Hutch feud was one of the bloodiest and most destructive gangland conflicts in Irish history. It not only claimed 18 lives, but also played a pivotal role in exposing the vulnerabilities of the once dominant Kinahan Cartel. The feud began in 2015 with the murder of Gary Hutch, a nephew of Hutch gang leader Jerry "the Monk" Hutch. Gary had fallen out with the Kinahan Cartel, reportedly over suspicions that he was an informant for the Spanish police. The Kinahans ordered his execution, and Gary was gunned down in Marbella, Spain. This act of betrayal enraged Jerry Hutch, who refused attempts to mediate peace, igniting a cycle of revenge killings. The most infamous event of the feud occurred on February 5, 2016, at the Regency Hotel in Dublin. During a boxing weigh-in attended by Daniel Kinahan, gunmen disguised as Irish police stormed the venue armed with AK-47s.
Into the hotel and begin searching for Daniel Kinahan. Shots are fired in the lobby and people began to flee the hotel. Senior Kinahan Lieutenant David Byrne is seen here running away from the lobby, but he turns back towards the main entrance. He is spotted by one of the men disguised as an ERU officer. Byrne is shot and wounded. As the other gunmen enter the lobby, Byrne is shot again. The gang continue to sweep the hotel in search of Daniel Kinahan. The man in drag is overheard saying, "I can't find him. I don't know where he is."
Their target was Daniel, but he escaped. Instead, Kinahan associate David Byrne was shot dead and 2 others were injured. The attack, carried out in front of cameras, drew international media attention. The aftermath was swift and brutal. Just 3 days later, Eddie Hutch Sr., Jerry's brother, was shot dead in his Dublin home. The Kinahans orchestrated a series of revenge killings targeting Hutch family members and associates, including those of Noel Kerwin, David Douglas, Gareth Hutch, and many more, continued over the next several years, leaving a trail of blood across Dublin. Innocent victims were caught in the crossfire too, such as Martin O'Rourke, who was mistakenly killed in 2016 when gunmen attempted to murder a Hutch associate. This brazen violence drew outrage from the public and intensified authorities' efforts to bring both gangs under control. The feud's toll on the Kinahan Cartel was immense. The public nature of the violence made it impossible for the cartel to operate in secrecy. Authorities ramped up surveillance and coordinated with international agencies like Europol to track their movements and dismantle their networks. The feud also fractured the cartel's alliances. Previously strong ties with other criminal organizations were strained as the Kinahans became viewed as too high-profile and risky to associate with. Between 2016 and 2018, law enforcement dismantled much of the Kinahan Cartel's Irish infrastructure. Central to these efforts was the targeting of Liam Byrne's Byrne Organised Crime Group. Liam Byrne was one of the Kinahan Cartel's most trusted lieutenants and a high-ranking member of its Irish operations. His organisation acted as the cartel's primary base in Dublin. Based in Crumlin, the group facilitated the movement of cocaine and heroin across Ireland, while also acting as enforcers during conflicts such as the Kinahan-Hutch feud. Byrne himself was a close associate of Daniel Kinahan and his brother, David Byrne, who was killed in the infamous 2016 Regency Hotel attack. The group used businesses like LS Active Car Sales, a supposed car dealership, as fronts to launder drug money. Investigations revealed that these businesses were not legitimate enterprises, but served the gang's families, providing luxury vehicles and laundering proceeds from crime. In the years following the Regency Hotel attack, the Byrne Group became a major target for the Criminal Assets Bureau. Investigations revealed extensive fraud and money laundering schemes. In 2018, the CAB secured court rulings to seize properties and other assets linked to Liam Byrne and his associates. These included expensive homes, high-end vehicles, and cash holdings. This crackdown forced Byrne to flee Ireland, eventually relocating to Dubai, a known haven for Kinahan operatives. With Byrne's departure and the group's assets seized, the cartel lost a significant part of its Irish infrastructure. This weakened their ability to distribute drugs, launder money, and enforce their dominance. The cartel's reliance on encrypted communication platforms would further their undoing. In 2020, law enforcement agencies cracked EncroChat, a secure messaging system used by criminal networks worldwide. Messages revealed details of drug shipments, financial transactions, and the identities of key operatives. One of the most significant arrests was Thomas "Bomber" Kavanagh, the cartel's enforcer in the UK. Kavanagh, responsible for overseeing drug shipments and weapons distribution, was convicted in 2022. He was sentenced to 21 years in prison for his role in smuggling millions of euros worth of drugs. The arrests didn't stop there. Liam Byrne was apprehended while on holiday in Spain. Byrne eventually pleaded guilty to firearms charges and faced a lengthy prison sentence. His capture, coupled with Kavanagh's imprisonment, left the cartel's leadership structure in chaos. The Kinahan Cartel was facing pressure on multiple fronts. The US government announced sanctions against Daniel Kinahan, his father Christy, and his brother Christopher Jr. The sanctions froze their assets and restricted their movements, effectively cutting them off from the global financial system. The US also offered $5 million rewards for information leading to their arrests, making them some of the most wanted criminals in the world. Despite these mounting setbacks, the Kinahans tried to adapt, shifting from EncroChat to a new encrypted platform called Ghost. Ghost was designed to be unbreakable, with advanced encryption and self-destructing messages. But in 2024, Operation Kraken shattered that illusion. The intelligence gathered was devastating. Armed with this information, authorities launched coordinated raids across Ireland, targeting the remnants of the cartel's operations. 11 arrests were made during the raids, but the damage went far deeper. The operation dismantled one of Ireland's primary drug trafficking routes and confirmed what many already suspected. The Kinahan Cartel was no longer the dominant force in Irish organized crime. Detective Chief Superintendent Seamus Boland declared that the cartel's structure had been obliterated, leaving only fragmented remnants of what was once Europe's most feared criminal empire. Operation Kraken marked the end of the Kinahan Cartel's reign. The Kinahan Cartel's fall left a gaping hole in Ireland's drug trade, a void that other criminal organizations were eager to fill. In the world of organized crime, power vacuums don't last long, and one name quickly emerged from the shadows: the Family. For years, the Family, a Ballyfermot-based crime group, had been growing in strength. They had been operating under the radar while the Kinahans dominated headlines. But with the Kinahan Cartel fragmented and many of its leaders behind bars, the Family seized the opportunity to rise. The Family made a conscious effort to avoid public feuds and flashy displays of wealth. The Family had become Ireland's largest traffickers of heroin and cocaine, sourcing their product from established drug hubs in Liverpool and Manchester. Authorities had seen signs of their expansion for years, with some of the largest cash seizures during the pandemic years linked to the group. An operation in 2021 had uncovered evidence of the Family turning over 17 million euros in just 3 months of drug transactions. Despite these seizures, their operations continued to grow. The group was linked to multiple attempts on the life of Gary Carey, a convicted drug dealer, including a shooting in 2022 that left Carey fighting for his life in a hotel car park. The Family was not immune to the vulnerabilities exposed by Operation Kraken. Their use of the Ghost encrypted platform placed them squarely in the crosshairs of law enforcement. The 2024 raids didn't just target the Kinahans. Among the 16 million euros worth of drugs seized was a 7 million euro cocaine shipment linked directly to their operations. 5 individuals, including a key member of the group, were arrested in connection with the seizure. While these raids dealt a blow to the Family, they highlighted an uncomfortable truth. The cartel's downfall hadn't ended Ireland's drug trade. Instead, it had fragmented the market, with multiple smaller gangs stepping in to claim pieces of the Kinahan Cartel's empire. Police have identified 4 major organized crime groups, including the Family, as their primary targets moving forward. As for the Kinahans, they are still on the run, evading justice while their criminal empire crumbles around them. The Kinahans are believed to be living in Dubai, a haven where they have maintained a luxurious lifestyle despite mounting legal pressure. In recent months, international agreements, including the signing of an extradition treaty between Ireland and the UAE, have made their situation increasingly precarious. Their movements are restricted, their communications exposed, and their network of associates is rapidly diminishing.